Hi there, my name is Eli. I am a trans guy from Texas, and I'm trying to make content about our lives and experiences to help people learn more about us. And I wanted to make give a go at making a longer form video, and I'm going to be speaking extemporaneously without much of an outline, but I'm hoping to talk about something I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed. It's terrifying. I just found something that I was not expecting in all the world of nonsense propaganda that has inundated every part of our media and lives. Like it's weird when it shows up in ways that you don't expect it, but it's also a great lesson in how we have to learn to expect that everywhere from every media source in the digital realm today, unfortunately. So there's a YouTube channel that I would highly recommend checking out if you're interested in learning about the differences of beliefs and practices amongst distinct Christian groups historically and today. It's called Ready to Harvest, and one of the things that this channel does that I respect a lot is he posts questions to his audience about various aspects of Christian belief and finer details to, I think, illuminate some of those differences between like maybe the viewers of the channel. And it's interesting to see people's responses to those things. But the one that was posted today was an interesting one. It posed the question of something to the effect, consider this statement: God made man to be the head of the household, and wives should be subordinate to their husband in everything. Basically, something like that. It was very clearly what's called complementarian language, right? And that just means complementarianism is a belief that comes from the evangelical tradition. It's relatively recent. It was that word was coined in the late 1980s, the year I was born, actually, 1988. And it's the idea that God created men and women to complement each other. And that sounds nice, but wrapped up in that is this hierarchical expectation of women to always submit to their husband, even within the context of like abuse. And I mean that 100%. A lot of evangelicals will say, no, if it's abuse, that's not what God wants. That's the man being a despot. But that is how it always ends up. Complementarianism is toxic. It's unbiblical. It's terrible. But that's not what got me, because I expected a lot of that nonsense to proliferate in the comments and as well as in the responses. And the vast majority, like 70%, which is high even for this community of people as far as I can tell, were like, yeah, I agree with that. But what was interesting to me was when I was looking down through the comments and looking at the conversations between people, and one of the things that kept coming up that I was like, wait, where are y'all getting this? Was this characterization of complementarianism as one of these like inherently Christian beliefs that has always existed, and that is held most ardently by Roman Catholics and Eastern Orthodox Christians. And I was like, okay, there are plenty of verses in the Bible that assert that the woman is the head of the household, actually, from like the Proverbs 14, I think, the biblical woman, like, she looks well to the ways of her household and all of that. Like, it describes the woman controlling her house, basically. And it doesn't say that directly, but it does in 1 Timothy 5. I'd have to look it up, but 1 Timothy, I know that there's one, it says, like, yeah, directly, the woman is the head of the household. And even like verses that these people will very often cite to support their understanding of men as the natural leader of the household, like chapter 5 in the book of Ephesians. Like, there's a verse that says, wives, you should submit to your husbands. And it seems very clear, right? Wives, submit to your husbands. Done. But the thing is, they leave out the little verse that's right next to it that says, and men, likewise, submit to your wives. Like, it's not a clear-cut case that men are superior and women always are subordinate. And even, anyway, but there were a lot of people making that claim. And again, making that claim that it is one of the deep-seated traditions that come from those more the ecumenical, the Roman Catholics and Eastern Orthodox Christians. And when I was trying to remember like the verses I was reaching for in my brain, and trying to remember like what year exactly the term complementarian was formed, I Googled it. It's like, what year or origins of complementarianism? And I was surprised at first I couldn't find anything about the origins of that. Like, it was a lot of stuff explaining it, again, presenting it as, and this was like, I think the Google summary AI thing at first that I need to turn it off. I don't ever use it, but I'm always curious about stuff like this. And yes, okay, cool robot, go away. And yes, that is exactly what came back, was, no, this is a inherently Christian biblical belief that is dominantly held by Roman Catholics and Eastern Orthodox Christians, despite the fact that this is literally something that has been invented in the last 50 years by Protestant evangelicals in America. And I want to talk about why complementarianism developed, and these ideas of, gender giving prescriptive roles that must be followed is not biblical, and not something that we all need to just like decide is done and stuff, because it's not. It's not. Most Christian groups have an active conversation around these concepts and what they mean, and even though there's a lot of differences of opinions in what might look inequitable to a lot of like secular traditions, like there's still like within Roman Catholicism, like I've met Reformed Catholics who would very much disagree with the idea of like no one questions the patriarchal nature of the hierarchy of the church. Like, that's not true. But what was it blew my mind that it occurred to me that that's what I was seeing in those comment sections. I was seeing the Google AI summary that was not accurate, that was being taken as fact and truth. Because, I mean, it aligns, and I'm sure that the reason why the Google AI presented it as such is because that is what has taken up the internet. Like actual scholarship, academic, biblical studies, like, I mean, it's not non-existent. I did eventually find that date and the organization, but it took some digging, and it took like knowing a few more terms that, like, if I hadn't, like, I don't know, gone to schools to study biblical studies and religion, and if I hadn't like had like decades of experience working with conservative Christian faith communities, I might not have had the language to find. I mean, I don't know. But anyway, that is very scary. We have a world of people who now outsource their thinking almost 100% to AI chatbot things, and whether they are being engineered specifically to further this Christian nationalist propaganda, because that is what complementarianism at this stage is actively doing, or if it's just the fact that the AI bot is, it's an aggregate data machine, and it's taking all of the facts presented and weighing them by the numbers, and there's more people saying the nonsense lies than there are people saying the truth, or at least those people saying the lies are a lot louder. So let's talk about where complementarianism actually comes from, because it's not the Bible. Why is it specific to this group of Protestants in the United States? It is specific to this group. I have wasps that want to say hi. It's specific to this group because this is the Christian tradition that developed directly from the more radical and extreme parts of, say, the Southern Baptist tradition, which was invented to, and this is a uniquely American theological tradition that we don't talk about, but it was invented to rationalize slavery and the subordination of black and brown people. The reason why those groups became so obsessed with hierarchy, the reason why those hierarchy became such a big part of their theological tradition, is because they needed to live in a world that put white people above everybody else. And that's it. So they dig through the scriptures, they find the cherry-picked little pieces that give them that sense of authority, or at least an argument for it. And there you go. And that's why it's not something that I've studied it. I have met dozens and dozens of churches where it is preached and taught. I've met hundreds of lovely people who hold it as a very dear and true belief to them. But I've met Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses who are lovely people. They're still in cults that teach nonsense and control them unnecessarily and exert undue influence over every part of their lives in a way that I understand to be honestly satanic. Like, I'm so tired of pussyfooting around. Some things I think really need to be said. Complementarianism is stupid. Evangelical Christianity is unbiblical. It is a power-obsessed greed that necessitates the need for a hierarchy to rationalize the way they put themselves above everybody else. And that is not what Jesus taught. And what is really cool and radical and amazing about what Jesus actually taught is it is something like the opposite of all of that. I mean, I think about, there is so, the thing that is so disheartening about finding the Google chatbot's response to be so inadequate and untruthful, it's not just that answer is wrong and bad. It's that it has supplanted answers that are far, far, far better. Like, not just more like academically satisfying, but more spiritually healthful and like appropriate within the context of the teachings of Jesus Christ. Which, if there's one part of me that has any conservative bent in all of this, I think I have begun to understand a bit more why some traditions do not allow untrained, uneducated people to preach. And one of the things that is very definitively American about how our preachers and our Christianity developed, thanks to like Charles Whitfield, and there are times in our history where traditions that previously would have required an individual to go to school, pass certain classes, and even be submitted to like some kind of assessment for their mental wellness, whatever they would have had back then, to say whether or not they're fit, like morally fit to lead people, as well as having the adequate knowledge and critical thinking skills to effectively assist people in the most delicate parts of their life, the most challenging aspects of human existence. And then you have other traditions that developed out of more spirit-filled, like, and there's something to be said for those who maybe feel called by the Spirit. I believe in that. I do believe in the Holy Spirit, and I don't believe that you have to have a college education to be called by God to preach. But I do sometimes wonder how much of an audience you should have before you submit yourself a bit to those standards to make sure that you know what you're talking about. And I don't, yeah. So that's where complementarianism, in a very vague, rushed, tipsy, poolside nutshell, what it is and why it's stupid, and why I don't hold water. It doesn't hold water with me and with most educated Christians. There's a reason why these beliefs come from those denominations where they don't require their leaders to go to school, and when they do require them to go to school, it's stuff like the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth. It's a joke. Liberty University, it's a joke. Like, you can go and get your Master's of Divinity from the largest Southern Baptist university in the world, but it won't be worth anything to anyone else outside of that denomination because their academic rigor is non-existent. Like, you don't have to have a 4-year degree. You don't have to have any degree. I think that there's even like bypasses for your high school diploma to get into a master's program. So yeah, we have a long storied tradition of passionately uneducated people informed more by racism than the Bible, preaching to women that they need to shut up and let their husbands make all the decisions. And Google has picked that up and taken it as the truth. It's awful. Okay, bye.